Good morning, this is Jeff Lynch. Today we will be discussing the Technology Assistance Gateway. So what is TAG? TAG is an ITIL-based incident and request tracking system. TAG is a global follow-the-sun service desk that is available 24/7 by 365 days that includes a self-service portal for the employees to log their own incidents and requests. It also includes SLA tracking, an integrated knowledge base, as well as asset and inventory tracking systems, and a global catalog of product and service request items. The product is also Active Directory integrated. TAG is a task-driven application. Closing a task within TAG may generate a new task for yourself or for someone else within another group. The key features of TAG are incident management, request management, problem management, asset management, knowledge management, task recording, automated email notifications, self-service portal, integrated change release configuration controls, a customizable dashboard, and you can include attachments to incidents and requests for documentation purposes, and you can also access TAG over a mobile device. Within TAG, we've already established global desk-side service level agreements, SLAs, based on incident priority. Within TAG itself, these are based on description: critical, high, medium, low, or planning, and the team acceptance OLA is based on those. So our target resolutions are under 4 hours for critical, under 8 hours for high, 3 business days for medium, 6 business days for low, and for planning it's a planned outcome. Our priorities are based on incident priority, on the impact and the urgency of the incident. Impact represents how many people are affected by the incident. Impacted service considered a critical service. Is the person reporting the incident a VIP? Is there more than one person affected by the incident? And along with that, it's based on urgency. Urgency is determined by the availability and effectiveness of a workaround as perceived by the customer. We have high priority characteristics. VIP caller reports the incident. High priority business CI. More than one user impacted. Business urgency. We also have a category for major incidents. Priority 1 and 2 incidents are a major incident. Major incidents have a special communication and coordination process. All major incidents are automatically raised as a problem. We also have escalated incidents. All escalated incidents have an associated knowledge article. Knowledge articles need to be updated before an incident is closed. We will go through the stages of incidents. Incidents are always created either by the service desk, through the self-service portal, or by email. Incident ownership stays with the service desk. We will go through accepting an incident, updating an incident by adding either user viewable comments or internal work notes, reassigning an incident if needed, verifying the correct configuration item is associated with the incident for tracking purposes, closing an incident, and desk-side customer satisfaction surveys. The final item, customer confirmation, is left up to the service desk. To get to TAG, go to the Inside Perigo homepage and click on Technology Assistance Gateway. Within a few seconds, the TAG interface will load. Before we jump right into incidents and requests, let's take a look at the TAG interface first. On the ITIL homepage, there are various sections: News for global incidents, a Reports section, and an Open Incidents section. Further down, you will see My Group's Work, Open Items by Escalation, and an ITIL summary count. The Application Navigator appears at the left of the screen and provides links to all of the applications and modules. Each application appears as a section in the Application Navigator, denoted by an application label. Modules are listed by name under each application label. Use the Application Navigator to quickly find information and services. To view information in the Application Navigator, expand an application menu by clicking on the label to show the available modules. Click again to collapse the application and hide the modules. You can filter the applications and modules listed in the Application Navigator by entering text in the navigation filter at the top. To view information in the content pane, click a module. In addition to displaying and filtering the applications and modules in the Application Navigator, users can use the module icons and the filter icon to select and view favorites. You can also make selections from the Application Navigator Control menu by clicking the menu icon. There are two more control areas to discuss on this page. One is called the Edge, and you can see where it's listed here on the left, and on the right is the Gear, which also allows you to make changes to the presentation of the pages. The Edge allows you to toggle the Navigator panel on and off. You can also use List and Form View, which allows you to do tab browsing within Tag, so you can have more than one incident open at a time on different tabs. You can also create your own bookmarks. Tag documents will allow you to track the last 12 tasks, requested items, or whatever you happen to be working on. You can also go in and tag individual items from the list view by clicking on the item, going up to the tag symbol, and that will become part of your tagged item list for tracking purposes. The Gear allows you to make changes to the way you view your pages. It also includes some fast links like going to Home, going to a printer-friendly version of the page, or Contacts Help. You can also change the way your pages are laid out by font size, and in the split layout you can change vertical or horizontal view, which affects your list and form view. You can enable accessibility, and you can change the language. Current available languages are English, Hebrew, and Spanish. So the quickest way to get working is to go to the Service Desk tab, click on My Group's Work, and it'll bring up in the content window everything associated with your group or whatever groups you can view. A couple of things to keep in mind is anything with a hyperlink under it, of course, will open up a new tab for you. So if I want to go in and view an incident, all I have to do is click on the hyperlink to open it. I can use the back arrow to go back to the original screen. Also, the columns here are completely sortable, so if you click on priority and use that as a sort, you can sort all the data by priority just like in a spreadsheet. So one of the new features of Tag is I can go up to the Go To field and do a search by criteria. I can choose from any of the predefined ones, and I want to do assign to, and I want to start plugging in my name. And if I click on the magnifying glass, that'll bring up everything assigned to me, and I will be able to sort through things a little bit easier. There's a lot of different ways to do things in Tag. Everybody will find their own favorite way of doing things. I'm just trying to give you guys a little head start. I'm going to go and use the back arrow and open up an incident that I want to take a look at, and it's this one right here that says printer is continually jamming. So I want to click on the hyperlink to open the incident, and then I can review the incident. I have the incident number, I have the caller ID, which is Peggy Fisk, and this little icon here denotes that Peggy is a VIP, so we want to pay attention to this. If there were more buildings here, I would have building details. I get a category. This is an incident, it's not an event, it's not a request or anything else, so I can leave that where it is. And I get an assignment group. So SDoc assigns the assignment group initially, but we can change that if need be. We could do a search for a new assignment group, and we could do that based on text, based on name, whatever we need to. So 90% of ours will be assigned to our desk side groups unless we have a reason to reassign it to somebody else. So the first thing I have to do is accept the incident. So I can click in the Assign To field, start typing in my name, and it will populate in the drop down. I have to click on the drop down to make it stick, and once I've done that, I've assigned the incident to myself. I do have to save the incident or none of my changes will be in there. So once I save the incident, it goes from an open status to a work in progress status. There are different statuses to work with. I can set it to a waiting on user that will suspend the SLA, awaiting product release, awaiting system upgrade, awaiting problem. This becomes a part of a bigger problem that we're working on, or awaiting vendor if I'm waiting on parts. So anything that says awaiting automatically suspends the SLA. This is something we don't have control over. So right now I'm at a work in progress status, and I can start filling in notes, either notes to the end user that I want them to be aware of or reply to, or I can start doing internal notes. So when you fill in additional comments shared with the end user, this will generate an email to the end user with a link back to the incident that they can reply to and put actual notes on their side into the incident, either saying they received our note or that they have additional information that may be helpful to us. So once you've added notes and comments to the incident, you can actually scroll down and see where these were applied within the incident. They become a part of the permanent record, so that when we need to, we can go back and review the incident before closing it out. So a couple more fields and features to look at before we close this incident out completely. One is the business urgency, which we went over before. Impact in greater than 4 business hours means it's still running, but it needs attention. No workaround available. That means forget it. Nobody's doing anything. We need immediate assistance to get this resolved. Impact in less than 4 business hours. Yes, we're limping along, but this is not ideal. So right now, my business urgency is set greater than 4 business hours because the machine is running. However, it's not running at peak efficiency. But we did say in the beginning that if multiple people are affected, this does raise the business urgency. So it may be more realistic that this would be set at less than 4 business hours. The only reason it isn't is this has been an ongoing issue and we're just waiting for feedback. So I could set this to a waiting user, suspend the SLA, and still keep the incident open, which I am going to do right now. So anytime we change the SLA on an incident, we should include some work notes. That way, anybody else looking at the incident knows why it's held open. So other things to be concerned with are, is the primary CI recorded correctly? I see that it is because this is the unit that's being affected. One of the nice things within here that you can do is you can go on the information tab here and it will bring up all the information associated to that CI, associated to that user, etc. within the incident. So I can go in, double check my information, and if I need information to call on a vendor like serial number, I can just copy, paste that back into the incident and have it available right in front of me. So what if the primary CI is wrong? I could actually erase that, backspace over it, and select a new one by starting to type it in. So all the printers are USGAO, and I could then select the appropriate one. Let's say it was 107, it wasn't 117, and then save that into the incident. So what that'll do is it'll change any records tied to that specific CI for incident reporting. So underneath the primary CI field, you'll see another one called affected CI. This is what really is getting affected by whatever is going on. So the primary CI could be software related, and then there could be another issue underneath like 3WS weigh and dispense system is really the affected CI from what is going on. So down in the bottom you see the affected CI list. All these choices get populated into the list. You can actually go in and change the list if it is wrong. So I can go in there, I can delete that, I can delete that, I can delete everything I've added and bring it back to what is the actual affected CI that is having the problem. So I get a call back from the user and it was 117, it wasn't 107, so I can just change that back as well. And now we have a primary CI, USGAO 117, an affected CI, and locked in to the affected CI list is the true underlying affected unit. So what if I need to send this up to third level support to get it fixed? Well, I can click the escalate button. That'll give me fields to populate with more information that I can turn around, save. This will send it back to SDOC, and then they will forward it on to the third level party responsible for that area. So let's say we've fixed everything in the incident to the customer's satisfaction. Now we need to resolve the incident. So we click on Resolve Incident. We have to choose a close code. This is mandatory. We've already got our primary CI. We can put in notes to the end user, or we can just put in work notes, which are a requirement as well. That way anybody going back reviewing the incident knows what's been done. So we're going to say that this was a paper error sticking against the sensor. So this is something the user wouldn't have any control over, so it's not customer error. I would consider it a hardware failure. So now we've got our close code, we've got our work notes, and we're going to resolve the incident. You could also return it to SDOC if you were unable to resolve it and needed third-party support. So everything's been populated, status is now resolved, but it has not been saved completely, so we do a save and exit, and that will save the record in the resolved state and either return us to the main screen or return us to my group's work. Sometimes it takes a couple of clicks for it to accept it. So you resolve the incident, but you get a call back from the user who says, listen, this is still not resolved, I'm still having a problem. Well, you could go in, you could search for it by incident number if you have it available. You could search for associated incidents by the username, and once you found the incident, you could go into the status, reopen it, and continue to work with it. So that about sums up everything to do with incidents at this point. So one thing I neglected to show you was adding attachments to an incident or a request. If you go up, click on the paperclip, you'll open the attachments page, choose a file to attach. You can browse to the file, select a file. I'm going to choose something off my desktop, and click on attach to add it into the incident or request. You can also remove one by checking it and clicking remove. If you don't save the change, it's not going to be in the incident or request when you are done. So now we're going to look at how requests differ from incidents. Here I have a request to supply a computer to an end user. But before we drill down into this one, I'd like you to look at some of these other tasks. This is to perform a site evaluation as needed. So what that says is we want desk side to go out, take a look at the location where they're asking for a phone, computer, etc., and make sure that networking and power are already in place. We also have other tasks which are deploy and complete, and some of those are combined, and we also have different requests for printer requirements. So now we're going to drill down into the computer requests that I have open. So now that we've opened the task, we get a lot more detail to work with. We get a task number, we get the requested item number, which we use for tracking purposes, and we find out that it's a small form factor laptop they're requesting. Well, I don't have any in stock right now, so I've already requested to have one sent here. So I'm going to check the back order mark, which will generate another task that I need to close out once it arrives. And if I have one, I can put an estimated delivery date in there. Configuration item is not an issue right now because I don't have one. State is open. Priority is none, which is fine because this is a request. This is not a critical issue. If it was, we could change that. And it is assigned to desk side USGA, and because that's me, I can just select my name. One of the things you might have noticed in this version of tag is once you have put information into a field, it will actually be there the next time in the drawdown. We didn't used to have that, so this is a great time saver. The due date is 2/1/2015. Well, that's not going to happen because the unit hasn't arrived yet. As soon as it gets here, it'll get staged for the end user. So we also have a blanket request number that applies to this, and the parent, which is the RITM, and of course the customer contact information. So one thing I can do in here, I can drill down within the parent RITM and it'll give me more information regarding the request. So I can scroll down, I can look for special instructions, I can send additional comments to the end user, I can say waiting for unit to arrive, and that'll give them an update. I can also do internal work notes for myself, as well as review information on who approved the request, who put the request in, any additional information, like this person is going to be an auditor and will need a computer that she can take with her for use for travel. The location is your plant number. Mine is USGA_147. So additional location details: operations QA main hall, third cubicle on right, heading toward Sean Walsh's office. So that helps me know where she is going and somebody already in there who needs to get moved first. Is this replacing an existing computer? No. Will it be shared by multiple people? No. So since I've made an update to it, I need to save the record, and I can save and stay there, or I can save and exit, but I don't want to close anything out yet because I haven't really done anything on it except give her updates. So what I have here is an open request for a desktop phone for the same user, Chelsea Pigeon. The reason I wanted to show you this one is there's more tasks associated with a request like this than you would normally think. So the first thing I need to do is I need to perform a site evaluation and make sure I have networking in place, which I've already done, and I've closed that task out. The next thing is I need to provide the updated MAC asset model information for the phone. This is so that voice can stage the phone and get it ready to go in place. So where would I put that information? Well, I would put that right in the RITM. So I've included phone, Cisco 7942 because that's the model, the asset number that's going to be assigned to the user, and the MAC address. This is all the information that voice needs to set up the phone. So once voice accomplishes their task, they will close out their task here, assign and configure the phone, which they've already done. That will open up a task for me to please deploy and complete all tasks. So what that means is I need to put the phone in place, and I need to verify in tag that the phone asset number is assigned to that user. So once I've completed my final task, it will close out my side of the transaction. Well, one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to close the RITM. That is not my job. My job is to close out tasks that are associated with myself. So I'm going to do a save and exit from here, which will take me back into the open task, which is please deploy and complete. So I've already done that. Now I can close this out, and I'm done with that task and done with that request. So one other thing I wanted to show you within the request section before we close it out. Say I'm in an RITM and I've already made notes to it and this and that. Well, if I look at associated tasks with this RITM, I can go all the way to the bottom and it'll show me every task that is associated with it at this point. Now, in some areas there could be multiple tasks listed down through here to fulfill the RITM. Do I have to go out and wait for every one of those to show up in the normal interface in order to close it out? No, I don't. All I have to do is click on the task, bring it up, close it out, save and exit, and it'll return me back to the RITM screen, and I can close out all associated tasks right there. I don't have to wait for them to show up in my group's work. I just wanted you to see that because that is a huge time saver when you're doing things in tag. Tag has its own built-in asset management database. So I've already populated the search field with the asset tag for Chelsea's phone. I just want to find out a little more detail on it. So now I can click on the magnifying glass, program will run, and it'll bring up everything that has to do with Chelsea's phone. So one of the reasons we want to record the asset numbers that we're assigning in the request is to have the request tied more closely to the asset number. So now that I brought it up, it's under configuration items, which everything is for hardware. I can click on it and bring up all the details on this phone, including serial number, MAC, who it's assigned to, location, leasing information. Everything I need to know about that phone is here, and there may even be some comments tied to it. So what about the rest of the configuration items? Well, I can go over to configuration, I can drill down on it, and it will show me all the CIs that are available out there. So most of the time I'm going to be focused on network components, network services, routers, switches, hardware. So if I want to find specific hardware anywhere, I can go through these categories and search within them, or I can do a global search from the search function. So what if I want to search out a bunch of multiple items, say specific to my site? I want to look at everything and I want to generate a report from it. I can do that here. I can go up to the search field, start typing in my site code, which is USGA, hit enter, and it'll bring up everything to do with USGA, including all incidents that have been logged, all requests, requested items, tasks, problems associated, and the one I'm looking for, configuration items. So I've got 2,478 matches. Well, I could sort that down a little bit further by category, network gear, configuration items, which are mostly computers. And that's really what I wanted anyways. I wanted to look at the computers in my site. So once I've gone here, I can actually do a right click up in the gray area here, export to Excel, and I can export that entire list with the fields defined out to an Excel spreadsheet. So export is completed, download. I want to save the file, do a save as, and I want to save it to my desktop, and I can change the name here, save the file. Let's minimize this out of the way, bring it up, and there are all the computers associated with my site, and it's that simple to get data out of TAG. But that's also why it's so important to keep the data in TAG up to date. So this time I'm going to look at the data a little differently. I'm going to go down to the devices that are computers underneath the CIs, and now I've brought up all the computers in Perigo. Now there's quite a bit of them. I can still do the same thing. I can search based on text, based on different criteria, asset tag, name, manufacturer, assigned to, location, all that good stuff. I've got everything under USGA, but I really don't like the way the fields are defined. I want a few other fields, and maybe I want to get rid of some. In my report, do I want location as USGA 147? Not necessarily, or as stockroom. So I can go up, I can click on update personalized list columns, and then I can add or remove detail from the view. So this gives me a quick way to create a custom export from TAG of a group of records that I can then analyze in Excel and create results from. So the individuals that put the records into TAG initially are the Perigo asset managers. They will assign the records. Inherently, for leased items, they come in from the vendor already assigned, and a report gets sent to the asset managers. Well, sometimes we'll get assets in that are not assigned, and we will assign the asset number and name ourselves and provide that information to the asset managers to complete the records, whereas they will put in everything else that has to do with the actual lease. The lessor, lease contract, PO number, lease payment, the lease chargeback, that's all up to the asset managers. What we would be dealing with is the assigned to, whoever that's going to, which the cost center auto-populates when you assign it, and the location auto-populates when you assign it. Location detail, however, is a field that you enter manually. It does not auto-populate, And you can also plug in comments on the bottom if you need more clarification. For the last section on assets, I'd like to cover asset assignment. Right now, this is assigned to George Lautenschlager. Initially, when items come to us, they will be in a warehouse status. Each individual site has its own warehouse, as you can see from the list here. So my warehouse is USGA, and that would put the item in a different cost center, ITNS Asset Warehouse, that would not bill against one of the customers. I have a warehouse of my own that I can keep my stock in TAG. We also have a lease return status. So if I move it into lease return, it's under a hold lease return status until I return it to the asset managers. So keeping our assets up to date will make life easier for everyone. It'll make it easier for asset management, it'll make it easier for desk side, and it'll make it easier for SDOC when they're trying to assist people. This concludes our section on asset management. The last section we have right now is change control. We're going to go over to the change button and we're going to create a new change control. The number will be assigned automatically. We need to include the configuration item that's going to be affected, the priority level, critical, high, moderate, low, planning, the assignment group. So if I'm assigning it to myself, it would be desk side USGA, who it's assigned to, which I can auto-populate, a short description. We want to make sure we fill in all the fields, especially the required one, short description, category, hardware, software, business service, type of change control, is it comprehensive and emergency, is it urgent? The state, if it's open, awaiting user, on hold, pending, we need to be very accurate in detail. We also need to evaluate the risk associated with the change control. Is it very high, high, moderate, low, or none? And we need to state a reason. Is it project related? Is it proactive maintenance or reactive maintenance? We can also include a watch list, people we want aware of what's going on with this change control. We can add a description, we can add internal notes. We must put a start and end date for the work, along with change back out and test plans. We should also list the user impact and any communications that have been sent to the business. After the change, we should evaluate whether the timing of the execution was ahead of schedule, behind schedule, and we should evaluate outcome of the customer impact. As I stated in the opening, TAG has a built-in knowledge base. We can go in, we can create a new knowledge base article, we can edit an existing knowledge base article, we can view feedback on the articles, we can find out what state a submission is in, or we can view the articles themselves. We can go in and do a search of the articles. We can do it from the knowledge base application, or we can do it from global search. The nice thing about the knowledge base is the articles themselves can be tied directly into an incident so that we have some kind of troubleshooting procedures to go by if it's ever been encountered before.